So in this video, I'm going to show you how to use MindView to create a work breakdown structure. But before I get started, I want to point out a couple things. One, MindView looks like a Microsoft Office tool because we adopt that interface. It also functions like an Office tool as well, so it's going to be very intuitive for you just to jump in and start playing around. So typically when you create a work breakdown structure, it's on a whiteboard, it's with sticky notes, even a flip chart. But we're going to replace all that. We're going to say this is up on the wall, and we're going to brainstorm about something generic, maybe a product launch. Now just pressing enter, we can get these different ideas or these different work streams. And I always kind of tell people as a best practice, don't worry about the placement of this information because everything's going to be based on drag and drop, which I'm going to show you in just a second. The idea here is to get everything on quote-unquote paper. So all I was doing there was I was pressing insert to get different levels and pressing enter to get different items on that level. And now I mentioned everything's based on drag and drop, so we can easily move this information around. We can also throw a numbering scheme on this. So visually you can see that there is a hierarchy to it. This hierarchy plays a really important role when we export over to MS Project because this becomes a WBS numbering scheme. It also plays an important role when we export out to a WBS dictionary as well. And as I mentioned, everything's based on drag and drop. We can easily drag and drop this, and as I drag and drop it now, you can see that it also renumbers for me. So very easy to get started creating this WBS. Enter and insert and drag and drop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get to a more developed template. So I'm just going to click on another tab. So this is just a bigger version of what I was working on. Now within the tool you do have different layouts, so if someone wants to see it in a top-down view or right-left view or mind map view, you have those options. But once you get something like this laid out, the next step is really starting to add content to it. And I define content in a few different ways. With these deliverables or these work packages, if you need to develop the topic even more, you can write in your own notes using this text note editor, which has the same functionality as Word. And as I close this, you get a nice little paper clip indicating something's attached there. Now you can also pull in pictures. This is a visual tool, so a lot of people use it for presentations as well. And you just find the file. Double click, it automatically resizes and puts it on the branch for you. Same situation with any type of file. So maybe you want to attach a Excel spreadsheet on 1.2. You just go to attachment, find the file, and you get this paper clip, and you actually can left click. And it's going to take you right over to Excel, where in this case I've got that marketing budget plan. Now you can also hyperlink over to websites, over to SharePoint, OneDrive, Google Docs. Basically you can attach any type of file or link to any file. The advantage of that as you're moving through this work breakdown structure in this project, all your project artifacts are here in one spot. So let's say we're getting out of this meeting and we want to jump on that WBS dictionary. So if we do, all we have to do is export this over to Word. You can see that it exports out to the entire Office package, including project. So I'm just going to pick a template, and you can decide whatever you want in the template. Maybe you had some comments that you don't want to share with everybody. And now when this exports out, it's actually going to follow that numbering scheme. So it's going to start with planning and then just move left to right. Okay, so here we are in Word. You have the image at the very top. It automatically generates this interactive table of contents for you. So if I click on planning, it takes me right to planning where I've got those notes, that file. Basically everything in that mind map gets transferred over to this Word document. Now the beauty about this Word document and that it creates this WBS dictionary is that it's a two-way street. So I can add content to it. I can then import it back into MindView. It's going to update a new WBS with those changes. So let's go back to that WBS and let's say we need to do some budgeting or some revenue forecasts, where there's a calculation feature that's built in that allows you to put variables and equations on these lower work packages and then roll everything up to the deliverable. Let me show you. So I'll do a real simple example. Cost multiplied by hour gives us our total. Now I don't want to type that in on every single branch, so I'm just going to make it a default. So bear with me, let me throw a couple values in here. And you'll notice as I'm throwing those values in, it automatically calculates on the branch level. So now that I have these estimates on these lower work packages, what I want to do is I want to highlight all my deliverables and the root here and roll everything up. And then what you'll notice is that everything from the work package level rolls up to the deliverable all the way up to the root. And finally, let me show you how to turn this WBS into an actual Gantt chart. What we would do, and I'm going to close or hide some of this information so you can see it a little bit easier. So what I just did is I opened up this panel on the right-hand side. There's a couple rules that we apply to this WBS. One is the project calendar is a 5-day, 40-hour work week, which is all user-defined. The other thing that we do is we turn these deliverables into summary tasks. So as you start doing estimations on the lower branches or work packages, everything rolls up to the parent. So I'll give you an example. You can adjust the durations, the start-end dates. There's a whole resource management side of the software, but basically at the end of the day, we're just doing some estimates on these work packages. And without having to recreate this in another format, all we have to do is just right-click, and we can take this entire WBS and move it into a Gantt chart. Now, this Gantt chart is built into MindView. You can still drag and drop constraints. You can drag and drop dependencies, constraint types, predecessor types, lead times, lag times, baselining is all built in here for you. Or you can take that WBS and you can export it directly to project. I'll show you. So it's the exact same thing that I was working on in that WBS. Now it's just transferred over to project. So in conclusion, I hope you see how easy it is to create a work breakdown structure with MindView, but not only creating that work breakdown structure, but creating a knowledge management area with all the project artifacts, along with being able to export it out to Word for WBS Dictionary, and then finally rolling it into Gantt chart, whether it's the one that's built into MindView or MS Project. So really, at the end of the day, using MindView as a WBS tool really in turn means it's a productivity tool for the project manager.